The Diary of Dr. X, Episode 9. Why I Dress in Black. I don't know whether you've ever actually met Dr. X, except online. If you have, there are two things you would notice immediately. One is the long hair, starting to go gray now. The other is the fact that I always dress entirely in black. So why is that? The dress in black part, I mean, not the long hair, which is from my youth in the music business, by the way. Well, I could give you the trite explanation. This would be that I am in mourning for Mother Earth, who we all know is dying, unless you're living under a stone. Nor would that be a lie. At least it is one way that I rationalize my habitual attire after the fact. But there is a deeper reason too, which will help you to get to know me better. At least I expect so. You see, when I was still a young man, living at my parents' place, the crows once offered me one of their children. I was working one of our family's fields right next to the old Darlingford school where I had attended my elementary grades up to about grade 3. It is a museum now, shut down shortly after I moved to a nearby town. It's an old 4-room, 2-story yellow brick schoolhouse where each teacher was responsible for 2 grades at the same time. I was cultivating the headland around the field's perimeter that day, driving up the long double row of tall evergreen trees to the west of the school property. On my father's land, at the top of the escarpment, just west of Manitou, or Darlingford rather, overlooking the plains below, which is where Manitou is, about 15 miles away. And what did I see just next to the tree row? Well, a little baby crow. He sat directly in the cultivator's path, right next to the tall grass along the tree row. Well, I couldn't just run the little guy over, so I dutifully stopped the big 4x4 case tractor I drove. I climbed down out of the cab as it belched black diesel fumes into the sky. I thought for a moment of keeping him as a pet. After all, he had been offered to me. But what would you feed a crow? Ground beef, maybe? Or insects? Didn't know. So I finally picked the little guy up as he flapped and squawked, too young to fly, and set him in the grass at the base of the evergreens, out of my path. I never thought much about it for several years. During that time, I grew up a bit myself, and unconsciously grew into my present habit of all-black attire. I also constructed my own dream catcher and medicine wheel to display in my apartment. You see, even though I am not Native American, as you can tell, I was studying their philosophy at the University of Winnipeg and was very much taken in by it due to its many similarities with eco-holism, or ecological holism, which is the philosophy I was developing myself at the time and have published a couple books about. It is traditional to hang feathers from such items on the left, right, and bottom. Sure enough, not long after I had created them, I began finding crow feathers for this purpose. And not small, downy breast feathers, but always the same long, black wing feathers. Not all at once, but every once in a while, over several years. So I began collecting them. This past summer, I needed only 2 more such feathers to complete my medicine wheel, as the dream catcher already had 3. I was out scavenging, as I do whenever necessary, as you know, and found the second last feather I needed. It lay in my path on the east side of Osborne Street, right in the heart of the village. Strange place, really, because there's not much for trees or anything around that area. It's all brick and concrete. I carried it about after finding it as I completed my rounds, twirled it between my fingers, admiring its perfection. I was on a walk along the Assiniboine River a bit later, through the woods along its shore, below the apartments on Roslyn Road. I still carried my feather when I bumped into a Native American gentleman. "Hey, brother," he said, with a grin, "you almost caught me having a shit in the woods." We both laughed. He had clearly spent the night down there, which is not uncommon in the summer month for those without a place to stay, maybe just visiting town briefly. "Don't mind me," I replied. "I'm just gathering up beer cans." There were several along the shore, actually, of the river, which I went down and picked up while he watched. They may have been his from the night before, but he made no objection to my picking them up. "What kind of feather is that?" he asked. "It's a crow feather." "Could I have it?" "Well, no, sorry," I said. "You see, the crows leave them for me. I need it for my medicine wheel." He nodded with understanding. "So what tribe are you from?" he asked, obviously aware that I was a Euro. "I'm just Canadian," I replied with a laugh. "You are a free spirit, then," he said. "I guess that is as good a description as anything," I replied. We parted ways, and I went home and attached the feather to my medicine wheel. I now needed only one more. I met crows several times over the next few days as I made my rounds through the village. Each time I made a point of asking them respectfully, "Brother Crow, I need only one more feather to complete my medicine wheel. Please tell your brothers of my need." Honestly, it wasn't more than 2 or 3 days, maybe 4, and what did I find? Not 3 or 4 steps outside the back door of my apartment building on Stradbrook Avenue. The most perfect crow feather I have yet found, lying right at my feet, perfect for the bottom center of my medicine wheel. So why do I dress all in black? Because I'm a brother to Brother Crow, who is my medicine animal. And yes, Brother Crow is a scavenger, just like me. True story. Cheers.